That is beautiful. Welcome to Deborah Kobylt Live. I appreciate your being here. And that is from the film Heart of Nuba, which may be my all-time favorite film. And it was directed by my dear friend, Ken Carlson. Thank you for being here in studio today.
Pleasure, Deborah.
I am so thrilled to have you back. I really am. Because since you were here the first time, a lot has happened with the Heart of Nuba.
A lot has happened. Do you remember when we first saw it out at Old Cella?
I sure remember. We were at Old Cella together. We had the best time.
We did have a
And
good
there's your
time.
little CD just sitting there. But we talked about it, but I knew even then that this was something great.
Thank
I
you.
knew it. That and Paul McCartney. That was one heck of a weekend.
That was a
Yeah, but a lot has
combination.
happened. Okay?
A lot has happened,
And this
yes.
Friday night, you're going to be premiering in Los Angeles. The film's going to be premiering in Los Angeles at the Laemmle Music Hall.
That's right. Laemmle Music Hall
Laemmle.
on Wilshire
Okay, what did I
in
tell
Beverly
you?
Hills.
I said I'm not going to say it right. You're going to have to correct me. So please tell us. The name of the theater is?
It's called the Laemmle Music Hall on Wilshire Boulevard in Beverly Hills.
That's the 20th on Friday night.
That's
It's a
right.
premiere, and it runs at that theater through the 26th here in Los Angeles.
That's correct, yes.
You also premiered in New York last month.
Wow, what a premiere that was. Sold out, and we had an incredible audience, and the Q&A afterwards was just dynamic.
Are you doing
People-
a Q&A?
Yes, absolutely.
You're doing a Q&A on Friday.
I am.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be terrific.
Well, you know everything now.
I know everything, but, I can still keep listening. I can
Yes.
watch this film so many times. I always
sweet.
see something new out of it. I'm very sincere about that.
Thank you.
Now, when you were in New York, I believe that you were the Catholics in Media Associates presented you and Maria Shriver. Shout out to her for exec producing this film.
Yeah.
The 2018 Social Justice Award.
Yeah, that was a big moment for us because,
Do you have a picture of that?
Tom Katina is a very strong Catholic, and to be embraced by the Catholics in Media Associates was a big deal for us because we're trying to market to the Catholic contingency, and if this doesn't speak to them, it should speak to everyone. Then I don't know.
It speaks to everyone that I've ever shown this film to. A little bit about the film, if you want to take it away from there. Tom Katina and you were classmates at Brown and played football together at Brown, correct?
That's right.
That's
And
how you met.
that's
Little did you know, so many years later, you'd be doing a film about him for all the incredible work he's doing in Nuba.
Oh, I knew.
You knew.
Joking. Absolutely no idea what he was going to do, and
got
absolutely
me
no
there.
idea what I was going to do. So the idea that we have come full circle and we had each other's backs on the football field, and now we do in life is a story unto itself.
So tell me how you happened upon Tom doing his work over in Nuba.
Well, I've always followed Tom's rising star, his career, but
He's a physician.
yeah, and I had no idea that he was in the Nuba Mountains until I received an email from a fellow Brown colleague, actually a teammate, said, "Catman needs our help." And it was a shout out to the football team, the Brown football community. And that shout out was he had a truck that was driven from South Sudan into Sudan with a year's worth of food supplies, vaccines, medical supplies, and it was hijacked and raided. And it was 3 weeks before the rainy season, and no transportation movement whatsoever takes place once the rains begin. And so this was a matter of life and death. So one, I figured out where he was because I knew he was in Africa somewhere.
You can
but didn't
figure
know.
out where anybody is.
Well, you know what? When you're in the bush, it's pretty hard. It's and there's no maps. There's no 7-Eleven.
I know, but you're the guy for the job.
But we as a community put together $102,000, bought him a new truck, put more supplies in it than before, got it up there 2 days before the rainy season start, and we saved lives. And at that point in time, I said, this is perfect fodder for a film.
Now, take me back a little bit. Dr. Tom, I'll call him, went over to this nation about 10 years ago. Is that
20
correct?
years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
He went 20 years ago based on what?
He became a physician here in the United States. He went to Duke University, received his medical degree, paid back the Navy for paying for that degree, and then found himself in Nairobi, perfecting his craft, because he always wanted to merge his missionary heart with his medical skills.
So he was always that guy.
He was always that guy. He was that way in high. He was that way in high school. He was that way in college. And I could tell you stories about college, but he always had that humanitarian heart. Even on the football field, when he would lay a quarterback out, he would, at the end of the after the whistle, he would pick him up and he would pat him down and say, "I'm sorry," and he'd go back.
I'm so sorry. Can we get the guy the point?
And this is an all-American nose guard. If you know anything about football, every single play for nose guard is firing out a collision, and there's no glory. Very similar to what he's doing now.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So when he went over to Nairobi for 5 years and perfected his craft, performed over 3,000 surgeries. Then he went into rural Kenya and had direct application, and then he was named the medical director and sole physician at the Mother Mercy Hospital in Sudan. And by the way, he went there thinking that a 1-year contract, and they were so excited to have him. And he said, "Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm here for you." And they said, "This is amazing that you've signed on for 3 years." And in the back of his mind, he's thinking, "I signed up for 1." But he considered it God's divine direction, and he fell in step, and he's been there now for over 10 years.
That's something that you guys have in common. Your background is your dad is a minister, and Tom has a deep faith. Yeah. And I think when you saw the work he was doing, I think you felt called to tell a story about this.
Absolutely.
You're a man who travels. I think whether you were a man of means or not, you would have found a way to travel. Am I
Always
correct?
have.
Always
with means,
have.
without. I mean, I rode my bicycle across the United States
That's
in
me.
1988 from Seattle to Atlantic City, and I had no more than $1,000 to my name. It doesn't take a lot of money to explore and discover.
You can figure it out. You can hop on a Greyhound somehow. You can wait tables in those towns. I mean, if you're driven to do it, you'll just figure out a way to do it.
That's right.
And you now travel everywhere.
I was just in the Arctic.
Those pictures are outstanding.
Chasing polar bears and killer whales.
If anybody wants to look you up, Ken Carlson, those pictures are. I actually will be at dinner with people and say, "Oh my God, you have to see this."
You're
with
sweet.
Mark, my friend Mark Thompson, good friend of the show as well, and we're looking at the pictures because we're actually going to be traveling together. We're going to Morocco together, and I said, "Oh, look where he just went." It's like we're going to start going where you go, but you also travel.
We've gone to very similar places.
We have.
Actually,
We really have.
We do compare notes. I will say that.
We do, but you're a man. You're a little like me. I'm really not afraid to go most places, and I'll go out and just get that picture.
Yeah. Amen to that.
It's a beautiful way. I mean, we've got a short life, and if you can do it, and if you can figure out a way to get there. But back to the film. What I'd like to do is show the clip. If we have a clip, right, of Heart of Nuba, and we can talk over that. Correct?
Yes.
This is about 3 minutes worth, staying here for. So just take a look.
I've chosen to live in Africa. I like that idea of staying in one place and becoming part of the community. So this is the reality of life here.
Who's bombing these people?
The Khartoum government. The president of the country he's living in, Omar Hassan al-Bashir, and his regime, relentlessly, indiscriminately bombing his own people.
Why are they bombing? Why is he bombing these people?
He's bombing these people because he wants to discourage them. He's oppressing them. He wants to push them out of an oil-rich, resource-rich part of the country that he feels he should have access to. And the Nuba people and the Blue Nile State, the people of the Blue Nile State, feel as if he does not belong there. So therein lies the conflict.
Here we go.
Football is a metaphor. A lot of medical work is intensity and perseverance. I decided to go into medicine. Before you know it, you end up in the mountains of Sudan. But I do miss the family. Here's everybody. How's it going?
This made me cry when I saw him go back to his family.
Let's talk about that, actually.
Yeah.
Sense of closeness. Rita is the Sudan army attacked their area, so I can't trace her now. I'm hoping one day she'll show up and she'll be doing fine, but I don't know. Keep in mind that any airplane overhead is going to bomb somewhere. You imagine what effects this has on this generation of children.
The noise they make when they are afraid. I wish I didn't know that.
This is so
I think
sad.
that's a plane.
The kids are going into the...
Real quick.
Here it comes. Down, down.
Footage shot a lot by Tom Katina himself.
If anything happens to Tom, who's going to replace him?
From where he came, I don't know. I call it a miracle.
It is a miracle.
He is. He's a miracle.
We cannot run
He's a saint.
and leave our patients.
The lives of people here matter as much as anywhere in the world. We can't lose sight of that, or else we lose our humanity.
Such a beautiful film, but and
Thank
so
you.
much more storytelling in that film. So you said that he's a saint. Many articles have called him a saint. What Shakya.com said Tom Katina should be nominated for sainthood, and he only makes $350 a month, which you said doesn't even keep. And what's amazing is he treats everyone who comes into the hospital, right? Mother of Mercy Hospital? Is
Yep, Mother Mercy Hospital in Goodell in the Nuba Mountains of Sudan.
Okay. This one hospital, this one doctor, you can have cancer, you could be delivering a baby, or you could have war wounds with your leg cut off, and it's Tom Katina that you're going to face, who's going to be the doctor on call. That's it's amazing to me. Nothing shatters
gone,
him either.
He's gone so far as to treat members of the Sudanese army. So, in other words,
The ones who were bombing.
the bombing and shelling and performing ground offensives. He has had soldiers from the rebellion, from the SPLA and the Sudanese army in beds next to each other in his hospital.
So you were talking about
A life is a life, and it all holds the promise of hope, and that's his mantra,
well,
and
that's
he lives
a man
it
of
out.
faith. He's a man of faith,
man
and
of
he
faith.
does feel as though a life is a life. Although I'm curious if he had someone there who was just blown to shreds, and then the soldier who blew him. I mean, you wonder what choice do you make? I don't think he makes a choice.
I'll leave that up to Dr. Tom.
I don't think he makes a choice. I think he goes for both of them. What about that?
I think he looks at who has the best chance of survival and how best he can use his time to triage them.
Gosh, Ken, I mean, if we could all be a little bit more like him,
Yeah.
so much of what goes on in the world wouldn't be happening. Just a little bit of Tom Katina in all of us.
That's right, and that's really the mantra. That's really the takeaway from this film is you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to become a medical doctor, a surgeon. You don't have to go to the Nuba Mountains of Sudan and live in a war zone. You can find your own Calcutta, as Mother Teresa says, in your own community.
Oh, it's
and
there.
that's the beauty of it. That and I hope people see this film and leave thinking, I can do something. Not there's no chance that I could be Tom Katina. Because it's not meant to overwhelm. It's meant to inspire and to be a call to action in many ways. It's a film. It's a piece of art, I like to say, but it has a humanitarian heart, and it beats strongly because of Tom and the Nubian people, who are absolutely the most resilient and brave and courageous and loving people that I've ever met on the face of this earth.
And smart.
And
And very smart
I've
people.
traveled the earth. So to say that it's quite a notion.
How much time did you spend there? You went there twice, right?
Yes, I went to the Nuba Mountains 2 times, 3 weeks each time, basically. And I wish I could have spent more time. It's just a matter of life happening and being in a war zone.
Well, you've got a wife and 3 kids.
Wife and 3 kids.
Beautiful family.
And an editor and a team to direct. So, and I also went to Khartoum for a week. And we shot
really?
in New York and in Rhode Island. So about 7-8 weeks of principal photography to get the story that you will see when you come to the Laemmle Music Hall in Beverly Hills.
Or if you look it up and watch it at home as well.
Well,
right?
you can't do that yet.
You can't do that yet.
No.
When will people be able to see it?
Soon.
Now it's,
We want people
we're
to
gonna
go to the
roll it out-
theaters right
We're going
now.
to roll it out around the country. So it's been New
Yep.
York, Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's in Columbus, Ohio this weekend, in Portland, Oregon, and then we go to Phoenix and to DC and Boston and Cleveland, and just it continues to build. I'm really excited about the fact that we're at the end of this month going to be releasing the film theatrically in Amsterdam, New York, Tom's hometown.
Oh, that's going to be amazing.
They are coming out in droves. I've been told we have some of the family members there I spoke to yesterday that are thrilled, that are literally just
He's a hero.
vibrating. Yeah, he's a hometown.
And I know he's
hometown
unassuming.
boy.
He's unassuming, but
The
he's
most
a hero
unassuming,
for
yes.
his family.
He would never say that. He doesn't want any attention. He doesn't want the spotlight. But the fact is, he is as close as I've ever come to spending time on this earth with a saint. And Nicholas Kristof went so far as to say that he is Jesus Christ. Now, that was something that someone said in the Nuba Mountains, a chief of one of the tribes.
Well, wouldn't you feel
and he
that
quoted,
way?
But that was his headline. And so, someone that can heal, someone that can give sight to the blind and heal the ill.
That's a miracle. Those are many miracles.
Those are other level.
You never know where this is going to be heading. Now, as we were watching the film, there was some footage of his family, and you said, "Remind me, I want to tell you something about that." Go ahead. That is,
when you film in a war zone, and I can only say that because I've been there now twice but in one war zone, so I don't have a Rolodex of experiences to pull from. But in this particular case, I was able to compartmentalize. The first day I arrived at the Mother Mercy Hospital, 17 people had been killed, and the casualties that I was met with overwhelming, but I was able to compartmentalize and said, I have a job to do.
You need to.
But the first time that I welled up, the first time that I actually emoted is when I saw the family in New York City, in upstate New York, in Amsterdam, New York, when I saw
Tom's family,
when I saw for the first time the cut of the scene when Tom comes home, I, for the first time, emoted because I saw truly firsthand the sacrifice that he is living. I mean, this man could be making millions of dollars, living in a safe part of the world,
right,
and all of the luxuries and the amenities and the creature comforts, and he's there in a war zone because he feels that every life holds the promise of hope and we are all equal, and he is all in. That's when the first time I really saw how intense of a life he lives and the great level of sacrifice and commitment and the responsibility that he brought on. So when I see that, even in the trailer, I get welled up because I see the love for him. And the family couldn't be more supportive. I mean, you can imagine mom and dad, they're in the mid-80s, they're failing right now, and he is all about these people over there, loves his family, wishes he could be there. It's tormenting him in some ways, but he knows the job that needs to be done, and they all know it, and they support him and love him and lift him up in prayer and in love and in grace, because they know that he has a job to do, and it is greater than all of them.
Yeah, and to me, this story isn't even necessarily about Tom and what he's doing. It's about all of us.
That's right.
The smallest of jobs that we have, or no job. Yeah. There really is something small you can do just to help somebody's life. I'm well aware that sounds a little trite and like, oh, come on. But it is true. If you just go one day and try and do one decent thing, maybe if you do one decent thing to that person, they'll do another decent thing to another. I feel like it's a little easier to get along than not get along.
Amen to that. Just smile. That's, what does Tom do? I mean, Tom Lilly lives a life of service, and we should have a little bit of that as well. And service doesn't mean that you have to sign up for a charity and, and give food out to homeless, 7 days a week. Service could mean simply reaching out to others.
To you in your own heart. Yeah. It should speak to you, whatever that service is.
Stop poaching now. I mean, whatever that service is, I mean, you can do a lot with a little.
I have a friend I'm also involved in her organization called Ava's Heart. She needed a heart transplant, and she didn't even realize she was sick, and she fell over one day and she woke up with a new heart. I mean, this isn't someone who was waiting. So she's now dedicating her life to helping people get a heart and supporting that and all that takes. Sometimes when something happens to you, you just turn your life around and you live a life of service. And should you be fortunate that it doesn't, then turn around and try and do something anyway.
That's right. And Tom, says in the film that he felt the tug in the heart to literally sell all his earthly possessions and to give that money to the poor and to follow Christ. And he,
I was going to say, that's a Jesus moment.
He has done that like no one else that I've ever met. So, and some people ask me, well, what can I do? We talked about service and doing stuff, but for this particular case, you can go to theheartofnuba.com, and we have a way for you to become a member of or take place in a peer-to-peer campaign, and that means you can raise funds on your own and then donate. We can donate to Take Heart Foundation, which is the donate button on the website, which is a 501c3 that my wife and I set up. 100% of the proceeds go to Mother Mercy Hospital.
Every dollar
And
goes
you
to
can
Mother
literally,
Mercy.
we have templates there where you can write your elected official, your congressman, and tell them that you believe that Omar Hassan al-Bashir is a genocidaire and that you want to keep his feet to the fire. There's all sorts of ways that you can get involved if you're so motivated by the film, by the trailer, by hearing this on Deborah Kobylt.
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about him. Is it true that he is no longer, he's ceased fire? Is that correct?
Yes.
Because of the work you've done, Ken. I mean, I know you're a humble guy too, but without Tom, there's no film.
That's
without
right.
the film, this doesn't happen and get right into the eyes of the politicians.
Yeah, we were
and embarrassing enough people to the point where it's like, all right, we got to stop this guy.
Yeah, I mean, Omar Hassan al-Bashir, president of Sudan, does not want another Darfur on his hands.
Right.
So he's taking every measure to curb that. I just want to make sure that you understand that there are many organizations that have been in the Nuba Mountains in Sudan, fighting for these people. Shedding light on this conflict. I mean, Amnesty International, Enough Project, Act for Sudan, Human Rights Watch. These people have been there way before me. And there's individuals like Tom and Ryan Boyette of Nuba Reports. A lot of people that have been fighting this, and we are standing on their shoulders. And I believe we have achieved a tipping point. I'm very proud of that. But I'm not foolish enough to think that we did it on our own. Yes, we got the film into Bashir's hands, and he responded with shock and shame. And he said flat out, the primary reason for the ceasefire is the heart of Nuba. Keep in mind, this is a ceasefire. This is not a peace agreement. This is a stoppage of bombing and shelling, which could start like that. It's temporary. So what we're trying to do is to create a peace agreement and to create a humanitarian corridor to get aid into these people that have much need. That's what we're trying to do. That's the next step, and I want to make sure I'm very clear about that.
And how are you doing that? How do you do that?
We are working. I went to Khartoum, and I met with all the ministries. I'm talking about the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I met with the Parliament. I met with the Ministry of Oil and Water. I met with
nothing will stop you.
25 meetings. Well, I mean, I take my cue from Tom.
Yeah, no, you do.
And we heard from every single minister, every single official there in Khartoum. We will help you build this humanitarian corridor. Now, keep in mind, it is Khartoum. It is the regime, and if they're willing to do what they're doing to the Nuba Mountains, it's a harder road to travel. It's a much steeper mountain to climb than I ever thought. But we are working at it, and we're working with Ethiopia. But you have to understand, these people in the southern part of Sudan, in the Nuba Mountains of the Blue Nile State, trust nothing from the government. You can imagine why, because all they deliver is hate and violence and bloodshed. So that's one of the biggest hurdles, because Khartoum wants to be instrumental in handing out this aid, and no one from the south in these regions trust them. So that's the biggest hurdle, and I understand that. But we're getting closer and closer, and we're working every day on making sure that aid gets to these people, because they are a wonderful people, and they are the heart of Nuba, along with Tom.
So people who want to donate, first of all, go see the movie in your city, please. The Heart of Nuba. Look it up, because it's playing around the country.
Yep.
And donate. And how can they do that? They
can donate by going to theheartofnuba.com and donating to the Take Heart Foundation, and that money goes straight to the Mother Mercy Hospital. And Tom will allocate the funds, and he knows what he needs vaccine-wise. He knows what he needs medical supply-wise, and salaries. And I mean, just so you know, I mean, he had to reduce the staff's pay. He announced in the end of December that he was going to have to reduce it by 15%. We sent him a tranche of money that he was able to extend the staff full pay until mid-April now and the beginning of May. But so we're able to affect that, but it's just a matter of time. It costs so much. I mean, $750,000 to run this hospital a year. I know it doesn't sound like much.
That's an awful lot of money to run that. Are you kidding?
There's 435 beds.
But and remember, that's money you have to raise to run this.
That's right.
You know, it's
Yeah.
not like you're getting public funding. It's not like you're getting help from anyone. You've got to raise this money.
That's right.
That's
And
tremendous.
We've raised over $330,000 so far without the film really being in theaters. Just 1 week essentially in New York, and now we're as you know in Los Angeles. So that's great. Nicholas Kristof wrote 3 articles about Dr. Tom, raised over $400,000.
Oh,
and
that's
he just won the
tremendous.
Aurora Prize, which is $1.1 million. Now, a lot of that did not reach him, but it some of it has. So I'm ever so proud of the money that we've raised, and if you ever question, what you can do, step up, give a couple dollars, because it will save lives. It's really, truly that simple. It does. I've seen it in action, and it is humbling.
Well, the more people you reach, right? You said it's $750,000 a year. Imagine if you, reach that amount of people from, the film itself, and everyone just put in $1. There's your $750,000. I mean, hopefully a little more than $1, but every dollar counts.
Every dollar counts, and they know how to utilize it, and they stretch like you've never seen before. He makes it happen.
I'm looking forward to Friday night. I really am.
looking forward to
That's going to be
having
a lot of fun. You're going to have a Q&A for those who aren't there. I mean, I'll report back about what's been going on. This is something that's close to my heart. I think this is something that you need to be doing down the road in other areas of the world where there's atrocities, but I know you want to take it one step at a time. Yeah. And Katrina's going to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Your beautiful wife who's, very generously let you go and do all this with,
she sings
her
the
blessing.
end credits song of the film and wrote it masterfully, very powerful, called Bloom. You can actually hear that, and we have a music video on the site as well. So it's kind of a family affair.
Kids are
really
involved.
been passionate. The kids are involved, and so it's. I couldn't be more pleased. And as you said, my father was a minister, my grandfather, my great grandfather, and they always asked me. Do you, have you received the calling? And I can tell you right now that I feel that I have a purpose, and I have received a calling, and that is to step up and to find my own Calcutta, and I have, and that's in the Nuba Mountains.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well said. Do we have a clip of Katrina's song that we can end our show on, as we did when we started? Okay, I think on that's a perfect way to end the show. I thank you so much.
Deborah, for
Any
having us.
Parting words at all, Ken?
You know what? Like we said, you can make a difference. A lot of people are afraid to jump in. A lot of people are confused and overwhelmed and have no idea. I'm just telling you right now, this was a little idea that I had about making a film about someone that I was absolutely taken by, Tom Katina, and what he was doing. I made a little film. He has made such a huge difference in that area, and this film has made a huge difference. And ultimately, it is bringing hope, and that's the key. If you can provide hope, then there's a reason for people to wake up the next day, and that is something that I believe is God's work. And if I die knowing that I've done this, I die a happy man.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, Deborah.
I appreciate it. I look
Anytime.
forward to Friday. And Heart of Nuba. Everyone, go see it in theaters, and please donate. Tom Katina is doing incredible work, and it's true. He's about as close to a saint as you can get. Anyway, thanks for being here for another edition of Deborah Kobylt Live, and we'll see you next time.
Far